Hello, dear students. In our lesson today, we're going to see together the structure of how to write a book review or a film review. Let's start together. First of all, we are given the rubric. What is the rubric? So the information. And this asks us what we're going to do, what piece of writing we're going to write. Let's read together. An English learner's website is asking for reviews of people's favorite books. Write your review saying what the book is about, making general comments about the plot, characters, etc., and saying why you recommend it. After reading it, maybe there are some questions that you have and you need to answer to yourselves. So, what do you have to write? Start again, look again. We need to write, of course, a review, a book review. For what? For an English learner's website. So this is what and who we're going to write for. The information is given in the rubric. That's why it is very, very important to read carefully. If you understand, then you can write it much, much more easily. What tenses are we going to use? Of course, since we're talking about a book review, we're going to use present tenses. Now, let's go and see what we're going to include in our review. So, which of the following are we going to include? Who wrote it and what type of book it is? Of course, absolutely. How the book ends. Should we write how the book ends? No, because then the book is not any more interesting. Then the person that we suggest this book is not going to read it, of course. Okay, which of your friends have read the book? Should we write it? No, absolutely not. The main points of the plot, of course, we're going to give what happened mainly in the book. The reasons for recommending the book. So why I am recommending this book. Your opinion about the plot and the characters, of course. Since it is a book review, you need to state whether you liked it or you didn't like it. And the name of the book, absolutely. We're going to start with the name of the book. And what other books you've read recently should we? No, it has nothing to do with the book review. Okay, after thinking of the rubric, then we are given the model. In the model, we're given all that information that we should focus on. And by learning, by analyzing the model well, then we can write our own book review. Okay, we have the model, we're going to start reading together, and then we need to say what each paragraph includes. So, let's start reading. Solo is the latest James Bond novel written by William Boyne. The novel continues the intriguing adventures of James Bond, British Secret Service Agent 007. So, what kind of information do we include in the first paragraph? We give the main points. We give some closing comments. We comment about the plot, or we give some background information about the title, the author. Of course, this is what we do in the first paragraph. The name, the author of the book. So, some background, some general information. The story begins when Bond is sent to West Africa to stop a civil war in the small nation of Zanzibar. Soon he discovered that his allies are not on his side and vows revenge. During his mission, Bond has many adventures, coming face to face with dangerous villains and an evil soldier named Cobus Breed. We finished the first paragraph. Now we're going to continue with the second. So, in the second paragraph, we start giving the main points of the plot. So how did it start, how it continues, how it moves on. We finish with the second paragraph and the main plot. Let's continue. Although the plot is gripping, so it's very interesting, it can be predictable at times. What makes the character of James Bond interesting in this novel is that the author presents him not just as a hero, but as a sensitive person that makes mistakes. The book is inspiring as it shows that a person can have flaws. So every single person, no one is perfect. Every single person has its negative, let's say, aspects, flaws, negative aspects, and weaknesses. But still, be brave. So after finishing with the main plot that we talked in the second paragraph, what are we going to continue? We give some comments now. How is the plot? Is it gripping? Is it interesting? And of course, how are the characters? And we're going to finish with the closing comments and if we recommend this book to the others or not by the last paragraph. Solo is a great read. If you are a fan of James Bond, this book will not disappoint you. I would definitely recommend it. So we can see that we close our review and then we give our recommendation, whether we would recommend it to the others or not. Let's practice now a little bit the vocabulary that we need to use. The vocabulary should be rich. We are going to try and not use everyday words, but try to use as many synonyms as possible. So, we are given these words: tell, twist, special effects, well-developed, main, gripping, put, based, bestseller, set, and directed. And I would like from you to choose the correct word in the sentences. Please make sure that you find the answer yourselves and check with me. So number one, The Hunger Games was on the what kind of list for many weeks when you become very, very famous? On the bestseller list, of course. This novel was so gripping, it was so interesting, amazing, that I couldn't, this is an expression, I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop reading it. The biography, what? The biography tells the story of one of the greatest inventors of all time. This exciting adventure is what? Is based, of course, on a true story of a man shipwrecked on an island. Look at the words, the characters. How are the characters? The main characters are likable and they are also well developed. So they don't have just one characteristic, but different ones. There was a change in the end. So there was a twist at the end of the story. That I really didn't expect. Look at the word, were very expensive. What can be expensive? Of course, the special effects were very expensive, but quite impressive. And the Chronicles of Narnia series is what? In a fictional land. You need the place. So is set in a fictional land called Narnia. And the last one, The Avengers was directed by Josh Whedon. Okay? Let's see now some of the adjectives that you need in order for you to write the book review or the film review. So when we want to describe the characters, we can say interesting or well-developed, main, or if you don't like it, even boring. The ending, how is the ending of the book or of the film? The ending is tragic, or is predictable if you don't really like it, or it's unexpected, or of course thrilling, really interesting, exciting. The plot or the plot line can be gripping when you feel that you don't know what is going to happen. It's very interesting. Or it's clever, or it's fast-paced, so it goes very quickly. You don't really understand how quickly the scenes or the events go. Or the plot could be dull, boring, not interesting. Okay, let's go now and put some of the expressions that we need in order for us to recommend the book. There are many words, many different ways of recommending your book or your film. So, well worth reading, thoroughly recommend, make sure, won't disappoint, you're looking for, this book's for you, couldn't put it down, in my opinion. If a fast-paced and gripping read, so if you're looking for a fast-paced and gripping read, I thoroughly recommend this novel. Take a look, it won't, of course, disappoint you. You will really like it. If you read one book this year, then make sure it is this one. It's cleverly written, and I couldn't put it down. I really wanted it, so I needed to continue reading. I couldn't put it down from the very first page. Now, how can we start from the other expressions that we can see? In my opinion, of course, this novel is the author's best so far, and what? And it is well worth reading. So you need to buy it, you need to read it. It's really interesting. If you enjoy fantasy novels, then this book is the one for you. This is for you. Okay, we saw 3 different ways of recommending either a book or a film. You can choose one of those and you can talk about your book or your film. Of course, we have useful language. There are many expressions for you to use. You can choose 1 or 2 from the information that we're going to see. So, when we start the review, first of all, we said that we're going to give some background information. For example, the name of the book or of the film, by who? By the author. We need to state the author. Is the first or the second novel, in which series? It might be, we said very, very general information. It's a gripping story, it's an exciting, it's a fantasy, it's a romance novel. That gives the story of what? Very, very generally. And the story is set in or is based on something. After finishing with the first paragraph, we continue with the second paragraph, in which we give the main points of the plot. So the story begins how? About what? It is based on a true story, on real events. Soon, after this, after that. So we said that we give the main plot, the main events in the second paragraph. We continue with the third paragraph, in which we give some general comments. So the storyline or the plot is interesting or is dull. Then we continue with the characters. How are the characters? they are well developed, or they are interesting, or they are boring. And what about the ending? Is it predictable? It is unpredictable? It is tragic? We finish with the third paragraph and the general comments, and of course in the end we need to state whether we're going to recommend it to our friends or not, to the others or not. So we can use different expressions like I would thoroughly recommend this book, or for example, this book or this film is well worth reading it or seeing it, or for example, if you like what kind of specific films or books, you can say if you like thrillers, this book or this film will not disappoint you. Now, as for homework, based on the model that we said, based on all the expressions that we gave, on the different examples of the recommendations, I would like from you to read the rubric very carefully, to find this information about this book and this author, about Ender's Game, and I would like from you to write your own book review. Don't forget that you have the model that you can base your writing. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I would like to thank you. Goodbye.